Hey folks, Doc here. Here I am at Area 51, having survived the gong show that was reloading the APU after it fell off my truck, and getting it back in and bringing it home, and the nightmare that was unloading it. Don't even ask, and I got to do it one more time because the other APU is still in the back of my Trailblazer. Anyways, got the thing home, got it into the yard here, and I've been going over it trying to figure out what's what in an effort to get it started. And I'll show you what I found, and then we're going to attempt the first startup. Stay tuned. Hope for the best. Fingers crossed. Cheers. Okay, so here it is in all of its glory. I've been using the Optimum battery under the hood of Mule 2 for cranking it and screwing around, and the first thing I came upon was that no matter what I did, it was cranking slowly. And no matter how much power I supplied, no matter where I connected the ground, no matter how I tried to clamp the positive on, it was cranking slowly. I finally determined that the alternator, way down low in the bottom there, is pretty badly seized up, and I simply cut the serpentine belt, because I'm not going to use it no matter what, in this configuration. So I don't know if you can see here, I just cut the belt to relieve that stress, and all of a sudden it cranked a hell of a lot easier. Go figure. So as you can see, I took the upper cover off and the side cover so I could get at things and try and figure out what was what. So I got it cranking, which was step one, and I hooked up my test tank and got some diesel in there, and cranked it over to bleed the fuel system out, and that's good. My overflow bottle happens to be that beer bottle there, don't even ask, but in the process of cranking and bleeding, well, I got a little fuel spillage happening there, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. Anyways, tucked in right next to the beer bottle here is an electric lift pump, which after some screwing around, I determined that basically it seems to be that I have to use it just to be able to force the fuel through that big filter. So we'll go back over to the filtration unit here, the fuel oil filter, there it is there. And, I wasn't getting any smoke without using the pump, or at least not enough smoke. So it occurred to me that, just forcing the fuel through that filter, even though it's gravity feeding, I need the electric lift pump that ships with the unit, which is fine. The other thing that I determined is right here on the back of the fuel injection pump is the fuel cut solenoid. That's the larger of the two lumps there. Still haven't figured out the smaller of the two lumps there. I'll figure it out. Beats me, some sort of cap, whatever. Anyways, the fuel cut solenoid there has to be powered, so you can see I've rigged some temporary wiring there to power the fuel cut solenoid and to power the fuel pump. And then I traced some wires around into this harness that's sticking all out. You can see I've got the positive bared, and tucked into this wiring here you can just see some bare wire here. I chased the trigger wire for the starter. It is a solenoid shift starter, so I had to supply power to the starter via the main cable here, and then just tickle this wire here to get it to engage. So we've got the fuel system hooked up, and we've got the fuel system primed, and as you can see I disconnected the air box, so if I have a runaway problem I can just choke the living shiz out of it directly at the air intake. And so with the fuel and the power to the things that need powering, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attempt to light this up. Okay, so obviously if I can get this pig to start, I'm only going to let it run for a few seconds because the cooling system is incomplete. There's no coolant in there and I don't want to kill it. So we're going to give it a shot. I'm going to hook up the power to the fuel cut solenoid into the fuel pump. Make an attempt at this. Oh, that's a nice sound. Sweet! Overall, I'd have to say this engine is in pretty good health. I backed out the governor screw so I could rev it up a little bit. Even though the exhaust is broken off at the muffler, I'm just going to start it up again for a few seconds and rev it and let you observe the smoke that is, or frankly is not, coming out of it. So let's give that a shot. Gonna hit it with the power again and jump it. You've got it like that. As you saw, there was virtually no smoke coming out of it, even under, you know, hard acceleration, going from idle to full throttle in one shot. And I'm really happy about that. So unfortunately, the powers that be decided rather obnoxiously that the wiring harness inside the main unit, once you get past the sensors and connectors, are all the same color. All the wires are the same color. They're all frickin' white. So I had to do a bunch of tracing and chasing. So basically, long story short, if anybody has this unit and is trying to figure out how to get it started, you know, without the control unit that would normally go with it in its original application, I can direct you towards figuring out what wire is what. You'll have to get the covers off so that you can get at the connectors, so that you can follow them, blah, 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 blah. But anyways, got that. So, that said, I think we're going to call this a win. Now, as I said before, I decided that when I picked these two units up, if between the two of them I got one good unit, then I was pretty happy with the price I paid. That said, I clearly and apparently have one good unit here, so I'm happy with the price I paid. That being said, I'm going to maybe tinker with the other one, maybe at least give it a once over, not sure yet, and probably offer it up for sale. I have no need for it now that I have this one good unit here. So if the other unit is a good unit, that's great. Basically, long story short, is it's probably going to be offered for sale for X dollars, and if I muck with it and inspect it, it's going to be Y dollars, and if I get it running, it's going to be Z dollars, right? Because obviously time is money, and if I'm going to invest my time in this thing, it's going to cost more for another purchaser to come along and get it. So we're going to go ahead and call this a win. I'm very happy with this thing. This is awesome. I just don't know what I'm going to put it in yet. As far as the seized alternator goes, I am completely unconcerned. You know, I didn't get it for the alternator. If it is a Delco 10SI, as I kind of suspect it is without really being able to see it, rebuild kits are really cheap on eBay, and I've already rebuilt a few of them. Piece of cake. If it's not a 10SI, don't really care, because whatever it ends up on, I'll probably put a 10SI on there, and 10SIs are cheap, so are 12SIs. So either way, that's a win. This thing runs. I'm happy. Until next time, take care of yourself.